Thank you, Kevin, and thank you very much for, well, where's Barbara? Where's she gone? For inviting me to speak today. I've made the big journey from North Wales, my first ever journey to Swansea. So Barbara's asked me to talk today about the importance of being human, and what I will share with you today is my experiences and lessons and learnings from Moneypenny, because Moneypenny is my main story. You know, it's a business I set up 18 years ago with my brother Ed. So in 1999, everybody else was worrying about the millennium bug, and isn't that just an extraordinary concept that we thought that the whole world was going to grind to a halt? All the computers would seize at the stroke of midnight. At that time, I was working as an arts marketing consultant. Ed had a graphics business, and he really needed somebody to help him look after his telephone calls, because he needed to be out sticking up flags and banners instead of, you know, as well as being in looking after his clients' telephone calls. We couldn't find anybody who, well, nobody was actually promoting themselves to us, so we actually went out and found a telephone answering service who did a really great job for Ed, you know, brilliant. So much so that he went off on holiday, but while he was on holiday, the telephone answering service refused to accept a fax on his behalf, and that resulted in him losing a whole load of business and slightly heartbroken returning from holiday. So we asked this very simple question, and we're quite good at asking very simple questions, which is, why can't there be a telephone answering service where the person who looks after your calls is someone that you know and trust? And we couldn't work out why that couldn't be the case. So we thought, right, let's do this thing. So we did, and we had measly savings. We think we had about £10,000, and we just had a really clear sense of that Moneypenny's success would be founded on the power of our relationships with our clients and with our team. And I'm really happy to say that it's worked. So me and Ed and £10,000, and we set up in Wrexham because my husband had just bought an optician's practice there, and had some spare rooms. So that's where we ended up, because he gave us a nice rent-free period, thankfully. So it's worked. And so today we look after millions of calls every year on behalf of about 13,000 businesses right across the UK, from small one-man bands to huge multinationals, Magic Circle law firms who wouldn't even know where Wrexham was if they fell over it. We have dedicated teams for healthcare, automotive, property, legal, and we've just built the most beautiful offices, well, not just 2 years ago, in Wrexham, that have been called kind of the Google of the North, which is great. But actually the thing that I'm most proud of is that little badge in the middle bottom of the screen, which is the fact that we are in the top 5 best companies to work for in the UK. And that is the most important thing, because I believe that our staff need to walk through the doors every morning and feel happy to be with us, to sharing their day with us. Because actually this is where it all starts, and it all starts with the people, with our people. And I think that the reason that Moneypenny has this amazing level of employee engagement, and the reason that we are recognised for this kind of the power of our culture, is because of Ed's and my shared view that we would want Moneypenny to be the kind of place that we would want to work in ourselves, and it never even crossed our minds that we wouldn't want that. So every single decision that we've made, from when we were just him and I employing Lynn, who I'm glad to say joined us in March 2000, and she's still with us today and has had 1 day off sick in 18 years. She's amazing. So every single decision, thought, idea we've ever had has been about our team. And it's been about treating other people as you want to be treated yourself. And that has yielded enormous business benefits, and I'll talk about in a minute. So there are 3 major things that we believe in. One of them is to treat other people as you want to be treated yourself. And some people can dismiss this as being really kind of girly and fluffy, nebulous sort of idea. But actually, if you are sitting in a meeting with somebody and you ask yourself the question, am I treating this person as I want to be treated myself? Quite often the answer will surprise you. And we have to keep reminding ourselves that the most important people at Moneypenny are the people who walk through our doors every morning and look after our telephone calls, look after our live chats. It is not me and Ed we are not remotely important. It is actually those people who are working with and for our clients. And so they have, we have to make sure that they feel every day when we're walking that door, challenged in a positive way, excited, happy, fulfilled, listened to. And that's actually about writing a list of saying, how would I want to be treated? How would I want to be treated? How would I want to be treated as a human being? So actually, as a human being, I want to be heard. As a human being, I want to work with a great team. As a human being, I want to have amazing relationships. I want to have real clarity about the work that I do. I want to know that I'm going to have amazing career progressions. I'm going to know that when stuff goes wrong at home, that somebody might actually be able to help me at work, because that's going to affect how I'm able to work. So actually, the environment that we create at Moneypenny is all about conversations. It's all about being working alongside each other. It's not about hierarchy. It's not about ego. It is about listening to each other and working with each other in the best possible way. And actually, we've had some fun with that. So, when we moved into our new office, we asked our teams, so what would you want from a new office? And our team said, well, we'd like calm, quiet working spaces. We'd like social spaces, we'd like car parking because that was an issue for us. We want natural ventilation and we want natural light, please. So the whole design of our offices is about nobody sits more than 5 meters from natural light. We have natural ventilation, which costs us a fortune, but it's such a joy to work in there. I couldn't believe how awful it was in the air conditioning that we used to have in our old offices. But in terms of social spaces, we thought, well, that's great. Well, why don't we have a pub? Let's have the ultimate social space. So we have a pub, which is called the Dog and Bone. And anybody can run it, and we can open it on a Thursday and Friday night. But actually, do you know what? That pub costs us nothing. All it is, literally, is a bar in a corner of a very nice room. It could be in this room here. But actually, the thinking that's gone behind it and the enjoyment that we have from that as a group of people means that every day when we come into Moneypenny, we all think, God, we also have a pub, which is amazing, But I'm just saying, it's not the things that make the impact on our team, and not the stuff where we spend loads of money. It's actually the stuff where we spend lots of thinking, and the pub is maybe in a kind of slightly extreme example of that. So number 2 thing that we really believe in is that we recruit for attitude and not just aptitude. So of course we have to have people with the right skills, but actually we want people with the right attitude. We want people who want to make each day better. We want people who our clients would be delighted to employ themselves. Maybe people that our clients can't afford to employ themselves. And we do that by having a really sort of a fairly enormous recruitment process. But actually, every single person that touches anybody in our recruitment process has a say around the table about whether we recruit that person. So if somebody's going to phone up and say, have you got any jobs? Then actually, and we put them through to our recruitment team, we'll actually say, this person is not the person to work at Moneypenny because they're not very nice to me on the telephone. Because actually, and obviously we interview everybody on the phone first because that's how everybody interacts with us. Or actually now we're doing live chat for so many businesses that we also interview people on live chat, which is kind of quite interesting. But so we want people with the right attitude. And unfortunately, I can't get people to tick boxes and me to be able to read a bit of paper and say, oh yes, you've got the right attitude. I have to meet them, or my team has to meet them. And I can actually tell you within 30 seconds of meeting somebody whether they're the kind of people I want to work at Moneypenny. And any employment lawyer cannot believe that I would say that, but it's very true. And it's just, if we are going to be working alongside each other for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, for a big chunk of our lives, then let's get on and let's choose great people that we want to work alongside. And if people don't cut it, then actually let's have the honest conversation. And that can be really hard, but having honest conversations is something I think is really important. And the third thing that we really believe in is think big and act small, which is nobody can ever accuse Ed and I of not having had big ambitions for Moneypenny. But actually we know that the only way that we will achieve those massive ambitions is actually by getting all the small things right. So that, we're handling, 45,000 calls a day at the moment. So every single one of those calls has to be right. And do you know what? If that call is not right, then we can, if I've taken a call and I've, mispronounced somebody's surname or written somebody's telephone number up wrong, then actually that's an excuse for me to phone the client and say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm having a bit of a ditzy moment. I'm sorry, I didn't understand how to pronounce that name, or I wrote the number down wrong. Here's the correct number. And that's an opportunity for us to create relationships, build those relationships. And those clients are amazed that we would actually say, hands up, sorry, I did that wrong. But they love the fact that we use it as an excuse to forge a deeper relationship with them. And it also means that as a business, if we screw up, and occasionally we do, then actually we can actually say to our team, look guys, I'm sorry we screwed up, that wasn't the right thing to do, but let's talk about this and let's do the right thing now. So thinking big and acting small is, it allows us, well, it's something we have to keep reminding ourselves doing, because actually thinking big is the easy thing, but it's how are you going to deliver the small things into your business every day. The most important thing I do every day at Moneypenny is I walk into the building and I say hello to every single person I meet. And the cat might have been run over, I don't know, but actually that is the most important thing I do. I try to know as many people's names as I possibly can. And that small thing, we say thank you all the time at Moneypenny. As you walk around our office, when the pier went bust, I bought their entire stock of fake flowers. And as you walk around our business, we have desks with flowers all over them. And that's a way of saying thank you. So if somebody has done something lovely, or a client has recommended, somebody's client has recommended another client, we'll give you a flower. And that flower has a nominal value of £10. You can spend it on whatever you want, as long as you spend it with your team. So desks are kind of, people are sinking under the weight of all these flowers, because they're saving them all up to go and have a big blowout at Christmas or to go for a spa day. But it's such a simple thing, it costs nothing. But actually it makes such a big impact on the business, and it means that we're manifestly saying thank you to people. And there's a model for this. When our new ops director joined us, she said, she sent me an email, Rachel, is this the model that you and Ed were following when you set up Moneypenny? And I was like, I don't think so, Kerry, because we're not clever enough to know there were models. There are models. But it turns out, so she sent me this, and I suspect you can't read it, but essentially what it says is that if you engage your team in whatever it is that you're doing, then actually they engage your clients and your customers. And therefore, as a business, you grow in success, whatever success means, and that might be profit, it might be turnover, and then you reinvent that success back into your team, and then they in turn engage more with your clients, and so it goes on. So it becomes this virtuous growing circle. And Moneypenny is real proof of that, because we started off with £10,000, now we have much more than that. And actually we have not borrowed one penny, but it's meant that and we've invested everything back into our team. So as we took on Lynn, our first PA, so Lynn would look after some of our clients' calls, and so the client would pay their invoices, so then I could afford to recruit another Lynn, and so we've grown like that. And it has real massive business benefits, engaging with your employees. So for example, last year at Moneypenny, we received over 3,500 CVs, unsolicited, dropped through our letterbox. And that's amazing. So we spent not one penny on recruitment advertising last year. We never have. And that's because people want to work for Moneypenny. So how much better that we can spend what money we have on free breakfast and on subsidised meals and on healthcare cash plans and on all the stuff that we love giving our teams, as well as on, Mexican nights in the pub, which get a bit messy. How much nicer and more fun it is to spend money on those kind of things than actually on recruitment advertising. And so what it also means is that we are able to recruit the cream of the crop. So we recruit the very best people. People want to work for us, and people travel bloody miles to come and work for us. So, for example, our dev team, we have people that travel up from Birmingham, down from Manchester, to come and work for us, and that means that we can recruit and retain amazing people by keeping our focus, by treating other people as we want to be treated ourselves, by recruiting on attitude and not just on aptitude, and by thinking big but making sure we get all the small things right. So conventional business, the bosses with their big egos and flash cars are at the top, and they're obviously very important And the people down at the bottom who are actually dealing with customers and clients every day are of lesser importance. So this is a conventional structure of a business. This is not our business. And I do believe that there is a move in the world to challenge this convention, because no longer is the boss expected to be all-seeing, all-knowing, he invites us round for dinner, we have to put on our best. That's such an outdated vision of the word boss. But unfortunately, there are many organisations where that still prevails. And I suspect that those organisations are the ones who will falter. Because no one person can understand and know everything. And we are a collective. We between us as organisations, we have shared skills and experiences and learnings, and this does not benefit from that. So this is more what I would espouse as the kind of structure of our organisation, certainly, which is where the people on the front line are the most important people at Moneypenny. We have no such things as directors' car parking spaces at Moneypenny. You will not be surprised to know, because actually the most important people are our PAs who come through our doors every day. And even our support teams, they know that they are only there because we have PAs actually doing the job, and that makes that our clients are invoicing us, that we're invoicing our clients for. And I don't know, there are all sorts of, I don't know if any of you heard of Sir John Timpson, heard Sir John Timpson speak. He's got something like 4,000 outlets across the country. And this is exactly, he calls this upside down management. And basically, the people who are at the front line, they know much more than the rest of us about what makes our customers and clients tick. And there's a really famous story about somebody in Marks and Spencer's. So when Stuart Rose was the head of Marks and Spencer's, actually talking to somebody, Marks and Spencer's historically had lots of struggles, hasn't it? But this store was really struggling. And he spoke to the lady who was actually running the trouser department, the ladies' trouser department. And he said, what do you think we should do? And she said, well, actually, we've got too many lines here. People come, we haven't got their size, it's too much. So I think we should limit the lines and have every size in those, choose our best lines and have every size in those lines. So he said, okay, let's do that. So he did that, and the profit margin on that was increased by 75% just within a couple of months. And that's just extraordinary. And it's just an example of how people at the front know more about our customers and their behaviours than we, dull people who are in the back room trying to make it all work. So actually, we need to make sure that we have, as organisations, that conversation all the time. And there are many, many ways in which you can do that. And we had an example. I'm actually speaking this afternoon for the DVLA, and I'll talk about this afternoon as well. But we had an example where we sat down with every member of our team over a 3-week period. We called them the hello sessions, because we had a bit of a moment before we moved into our new building when we thought we haven't spoken enough, we haven't told people enough about what we're doing and how we're doing it. But actually at the end of these sessions we asked 2 questions. One was, tell me one thing that would make life better for your clients, and the second question was, tell me one thing that would make life better for you. We ended up with a mountain of amazing nuggets of stuff that transformed our business. One of the issues that we found out about was that it's really hard to book holidays at Christmas time. You didn't know until November whether you had holidays off, you could take holidays at Christmas. We sorted that out. We moved into our new building. Our sickness halved. And it's just amazing that we by talking to people, we can create an environment in which other people are happier to thrive and contribute to, but also we develop, the KPIs for our businesses go through the roof. And we don't need to keep employing management consultants and locking ourselves up for away days. We need to go and speak to the people who are actually dealing with our customers every day, and they will tell us what we need to do. And we can prioritise those, we can do whatever we want, but actually there is so much learning and fact there that we need to harness. And because actually all of this is for the long term. We don't want to make decisions, look at us with our political system and what the hell's going on at the moment, but whatever we're doing, whatever decisions we're making in the business today about our team, it's for the long term. So there's no point in us rushing through some new initiative without actually thinking about what the implications are around it, because actually the implications, if we get that wrong, then that will have implications forever. So let's take time to consult with our team and understand what it is that they want, what we can do for them before we actually make decisions, because we know that this is going to be for the long term. Let's give our team absolute clarity about what their roles are. Let's everybody have a real sense of what does good look like in this organisation. Because without this, we don't actually know where we're going. And let's ask the perfect world question, which is, and I give you this as a gift, because it's changed my life, was if anybody or in any situation, so people say to me, okay, Rachel, tell me about telephone answering a live chat. And I'm kind of like, well, okay, that's a bit dull, but actually, why don't you tell me, in your perfect world, how you'd want your conversations to be handled? So if somebody comes to me and says, oh, Rachel, tell me about what training I'm going to receive, I will turn it around and I say, okay, in your perfect world, how would you want to be trained? And by asking the perfect world question, you give people, you remove all of those kind of conventions and shackles, and suddenly people go, God, in my perfect world, I would have, I don't know, I would be able to do a bit of training at home and then come in, and I don't know, it would all, but you get my gist. It's about giving people the opportunity to tell you what the possibilities are, and in so doing you will find new and amazing ways of operating. So we've actually designed whole new products around asking our clients this question. So we now have an app that's a mobile answering app that because people are working on their mobiles and they don't like voicemail anyway, so I won't bore you with all that, but it's actually really a liberating thing. And then make good promises and then keep them. So anybody can make promises. And I bet you in our annual reports every year we all make a gazillion promises. But actually the difference is when it comes to actually keeping them. And sometimes that can be really hard. But the organisations that thrive and the organisations that fail are defined by whether or not they keep their promises to their stakeholders, to their clients, to their team. And stick to the knitting. Know what it is that you do and do it brilliantly. And actually it's really dull talking about telephone calls and live chat all day, but do you know what? I love it because we do that really, really, really brilliantly. And by doing it brilliantly, we can only do it brilliantly if we have brilliant people who enjoy what they do and who we can make the day interesting for. So actually, by coming back to that all the time, which also means wearing other people's shoes. And wasn't sure where that apostrophe goes there in people's, but it's actually where everything that we do, we stand in somebody else's shoes to see how something can be interpreted. We will learn again from that. And the good, the bad, and the ugly. Communicate everything, all the time, to everyone. Because we are all grown-ups and we need to be treated as such. And actually, we don't just want the good news, we want the realistic news. And actually sometimes we can then do something about it. Because it's we have this, another slide I'm going to come on to is that we are all grown-ups. So actually we understand that life is not always going to be rosy. So let's have real conversations. And at Moneypenny we use something called Workplace. I don't know if any of you heard that, which is it's a Facebook product for workplaces called Workplace. And it has transformed our lives because we now can communicate everything to everybody all the time. And we have extraordinary levels of engagement. So our team are on Workplace at night. If it snows and I need to go, somebody can't get in the next morning, or if, I don't know, if your team, somebody's forgotten somebody's birthday, or I don't know. But anyway, we use it to communicate everything. And you can actually prioritise. So if Joanna, our MD, wants to send something out, then everybody has to read that first before reading everything else. So it is an amazing communication tool, costs $3 a month, has changed our lives. $3 a month per user, has changed our lives, and yeah, I can highly recommend it. And challenge the process. So at Moneypenny we have a gazillion processes because there's no way that we couldn't operate otherwise. But actually we make every process to be broken. Because processes are about helping us be more efficient. They're not about doing the, they're not about doing the job for us, because we have to do the right thing, and sometimes the process doesn't let us do the right thing. So we have to be able to break the process so that we can go and do the right thing. And our payroll previously has taken days off somebody because something awful happened, that's what happened in the process. But actually I ended up losing one of our most valued employees many years ago because it hadn't recognised that she'd been on compassionate leave. Anyway, so I lost her because the process, I didn't break the process, I didn't check the process. So it means, so this is kind of make sure that you get the small things right, which means I should have checked the process, and then if the process doesn't work, break it to do the right thing for your team. Which could lead to all sorts of anarchy, but actually it is about having that integrity and authenticity that means that we can keep our promises to our team, because we are all grown-ups and we all know that life is not perfect. So when I go to an organisation and there are there's I don't know, just stupid things, don't smoke. Of course I'm not going to smoke here. We don't have a dress code at Moneypenny, but we have a conversation, which is, holding up 2 pairs of Converse trainers, and one is Ed's pair that he wears to mow the lawn in, and the second is a pair that's new. And actually we say, do we all understand the difference between these 2 pairs of Converse trainers? Because we had a big debate about whether she'd wear trainers to Moneypenny. And everybody said, well, of course we do. And I said, well, that's fine. We don't need to have a dress code. So it's actually having those conversations all the time. So we're not inventing rules all the time. And we all make mistakes, but let's make those mistakes matter. I don't care if anybody makes mistakes, but actually each mistake has to stop us, let's learn from it and make sure that we don't make it again. And let's share it. Let's share our mistakes so that we all learn from it and make that happen, because it is all about the team. And as a team, we need to share and learn. And one thing I really believe absolutely passionately in is I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything if I haven't done it myself first. Because, I've been in some offices where there are people in dark rooms, 30 levels underground with no natural light, where they're expected to function. How can that be? I wouldn't want to sit in that office every day. So if I'm going to ask somebody to do something, then I'm going to make sure that I do it first. Because we have to remember that our customers always have a choice. They always have a choice. And that choice might be to go and buy somewhere else, or it might be to disengage with us, whatever. But actually we need to make sure that we put the right people in front of our customers so that they can have a choice. And I'm going to stop now because I'm over time. I'm going to be in trouble with Barbara. And yes, thank you. Sorry.
Questions already. So the first question, what do you consider your sphere of influence?
Oh, don't know. My sphere of influence? I don't know. Anybody I happen to bump into any day, I suspect. I don't know. But I think, my sphere of influence has changed dramatically, because obviously it was the business, but now Moneypenny is an exemplar in terms of employee engagement, so obviously that sphere is growing, and that's why I'm here. But also because I'm a slightly rare beast, which is a woman, an entrepreneur in Wales, I get asked to sit on a million gazillion panels and boards and things like that, and actually I realised that sphere of influence wasn't working for me, because I didn't feel that anything got done from all that time I was spending. So I've actually now set up this charity, which is about running, we run 6-month traineeships for young women who've been referred to us by Youth Justice, Leaving Care, Women's Aid. So that's another sphere of influence. I'm actually managing to affect young people's lives now, which is good, I think.
What do you do to humanise the recruitment process? I know you do it all yourself. What have you done to humanise?
Well, I don't do it all myself now, obviously. Basically, it's all about conversations. So we speak to people. That's how we humanise it. I've never. So it's not about process. Of course, we have to make sure that people have got the right skills. But actually, the very first stage of our recruitment process is a conversation over the phone with somebody. And also it's about when you come into Moneypenny as part of our recruitment process, once we think you're worth having a conversation with, we then involve lots of people in the process. So it's interesting for you coming in. We absolutely accept that it's a two-way process. So it's not just about locking somebody in a room and them doing filling out lots of forms. It's about us taking them around the business, sitting them down with one of our team, so they can actually see, because our job is not for everybody. So we make sure that our real human candidates meet our real human people. And all those real human people that they meet are involved in the decision process at the end.
Let's offer this to the room. Any questions in the room?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Anytime. I need to speak to you on the phone first. Anyone? No? Well, can I just take 2 seconds? I haven't talked about my charity, but we're hoping to come and set up a traineeship in Cardiff, which would be quite exciting. And what we do is, I'll flick through my slides. So in terms of leadership, this is okay. So this is what I thought leadership was. Okay. Then these 2 idiots came along, and then follow me and right behind you, I think, is my favourite definition of leadership, because it's about supporting our teams. But our charity is called We Mind the Gap, and what we do is we run 6 months totally holistic paid traineeships. So we bring our approach to people development at Moneypenny to a different cohort in our local community. And so we run these traineeships for 10 young women at a time. And each young woman has her own coach, mentor, work experience, so we organise work experience in 5 different local businesses, new skills, new experiences. And what we do really works, because 7 out of 10 of our young women, and they're young women who could not be further from the workplace, end up in full-time worker education. So it's been for me personally, it's been a real journey setting this up, and the most fulfilling, frustrating, exhausting, amazing thing I've ever done. And I'm really hoping to we're really hoping to set one up in Cardiff next year. So it might be, I know we're not in Cardiff now, but we are in South Wales, which is a long way for me. So so it might be that, I don't know, through Barbara or whatever, that I might get in touch with you at that time to see if anybody might be able to help me with that, if that would be okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.